McShin Foundation is Virginia's leading peer-to-peer recovery organization. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, let us get you connected. We can help you build a solid foundation through recovery. Here at the McShin Foundation, we are committed to healing families and saving lives.
Hello everyone, I'm Jordan. I'm a person in recovery from substance use disorder. What that means to me is that I haven't found it necessary to use any mood or mind altering substances in just over a year. I'm a lot more nervous than I said I was going to be. I walked in here and I was like, I do this all the time. I was like, I got my speech down, I'm a professional, but no, it is. I was just in the back praying not to have a heart attack. But what I found is that a little icebreaker can make you calm down. And so first of all, my hope is that I can deliver a message tonight to share some of my journey with in recovery and my solution and what I think moving forward the solution should be in the community. First, I'd like to show everyone, this is my inmate picture from 2015. This is just hours after an overdose, after my mom over there actually found me. This is a huge reminder for me of the animalistic level in which I used to live, and I don't even recognize myself. I'm just gonna, I won't pass around, but I'm just gonna show that. All right. I keep that in my office as a reminder, for where I've been. So I wrote down a lot of notes. I like to have something to go by just in case. My biggest fear is that I'll get up here and I won't be able to. My biggest fear is that I'll just freeze and my heart will start racing. I'll just be like, I gotta go. Because it's like, that's how my addiction is. It's fight or flight. It's like when it gets uncomfortable, I'm gonna run away. But in recovery, I learned to stand still and face my fears and look people in the eye. So if you told me when I was sitting in that room getting high every day, that I would be speaking in front of people in a community event with a Hanover CSB and another group here at McShin, I would have been like, you're crazy, you're crazy. But I think part of my solution is having purpose and giving back. So that is my solution, is purpose, finding purpose, because I can do all the 12-step meetings, I can do all the counseling, I can do all the stuff that's suggested, but without purpose, and if I don't feel like I'm, I think I talked to Kyle about this before, if I don't feel like I'm making a difference, or if I don't feel like I have somewhere to be, it's just like, what am I doing, you know what I mean? And the best thing is to try to make a difference in someone else's life. They tell me the ego is really dangerous in recovery, so when I come up here, I don't know if y'all have seen, when some of y'all might know this, when Cat Williams comes on the stage and it's like just the loudest hip hop music ever, and he's just like walking in, that's how in my head, that's how I see myself. Like, oh man, I'm just gonna blow it up. But that's egotistical, and I'm just another addict that found recovery. So before I tell a little bit of my story, I do want to say, when thinking about addiction and all the solutions, I came to the conclusion that everyone, it seems like we're all kind of trying to find this end to it all. And I started thinking, I was like, maybe there is no end. I was like, maybe it is about the effort, not the outcome. And then I wrote, our goal should not be how do we remove this problem from society, but instead, how do we best help those people when they want the help? And then I wrote, to hope for a world without addiction is to hope for a world without cancer, because I think that's the level of this thing. And I was looking at all all the pathways to recovery, and I actually started to get a little confused. I started to question my own beliefs. There's just so much when you go online about addiction and recovery, and but the cool thing is I can keep it simple. I know what works and what doesn't work for me. Isolation doesn't work for me. Sitting alone doesn't work for me. Getting angry with people doesn't work for me. Being at McShin works for me. Going to 12-step meetings works for me. Having a sponsor in a home group and a 12-step fellowship works for me. It's like, I don't have to be Einstein. I don't have to know all the answers. I can look at my life and see very clearly what helps me and what doesn't help me. And when the pain gets great enough, I'll slowly start eliminating the painful stuff out of my life. It's taken a long time. One thing in my recovery that I'm working on is not buying stuff. I just bought a kitty tower for $40 on Amazon, and I took that out of money for my rent. So now I have to ask Honesty for a raise to get the $40 back. So, I mean, but that's a good problem. Do I want Purina or do I want, that's a good thing. Because this guy was not thinking about cat food. You know what I mean? So there's I believe there's I don't even know if I should tell my story. I think I should just keep going how I'm going. I'm gonna do it piece by piece, and we'll see what happens. So I do believe that there's two types of addiction. I believe that there's actual and real, like the AA book describes the real alcoholic versus the potential alcoholic. I do believe in, I'm just gonna say addict because that covers all of us. The real addict and then the potential addict. I think some people are still experimenting. Some people may have just gotten into a phase of using drugs. But I do believe that the real addict, the one that has the disease of addiction, I believe the only solution is a spiritual experience. What did I say? I believe real addicts have to have a complete psychic change or a continuous searching of God's will to recover. And a lot of people have trouble with the word God, and someone told me that G-O-D, and for people that might be atheists, this is what has helped a lot of people. Gift of desperation. The pain got so great that I was willing to do whatever it took. I don't even care. I'm on my hands and knees praying because I do not want to feel this way anymore. And when you take the drugs away from my life, still miserable. Why? Drugs must not be the problem, right? It looks like the problem is spiritual, and I've been trying to solve it medically. So you can't do that. With a spiritual problem, you have to have a spiritual solution. And that, for me, the real addict with the disease of addiction, that's been the solution, is just every day, just seeing what I can do to help someone else. When I can feel when I get angry. I can feel, when I'm on the road and someone cuts me off and I'm like, don't you know who I am? Like, I'm on the way to somewhere. Like, I gotta be somewhere. I'm trying to do something, you know what I mean? Like I'm a very angry, hateful person. The person I turned into in my addiction is very angry, hateful, miserable, depressed, lonely, scared, low self-esteem, all that. So when you take the drugs away from me, I'm still that person, right? I'm still that person. It's not who I really was intended to be. 2 minutes? Oh wow, I'm my recovery has been my recovery. What it boils down to is maintaining character defects. When you take the drugs away from me, and we're sitting here at a little over a year clean, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna get real honest with y'all. Yeah, I have all the material things, right? I just texted my sponsor before I came in here, and I told him I needed help. I said, I have everything I always wanted. I said, I have everything I've always dreamed of at a year clean. But I feel that I'm starting to slip into some sort of mental state where I'm taking on a lot of responsibility. I'm speaking, I'm filming. Right when I get done speaking, I gotta go film on the camera. I'm still editing the video from Recovery Fest. Most of y'all were at Recovery Fest. It's like, I'm a people pleaser. Like, I wanna say yes to everyone because in my mind, the more I do, the more I recover. It's not true. And that's why it's a disease to me, because at a year clean, I'm not cured. I am literally asking my sponsor for spiritual guidance right now. No, that's me behind the scenes. Help me, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't get to meetings. Like, my work has been taking over my life. Like, that's what's going on in my life right now. I know for a fact, if I let my character defects come back into my life and I stop asking for God's will, I will be in the room, looking like this again, I swear, because it's happened a million times. That is why it's a disease, because I will use against my will, right? I'm not gonna tell my story because I have 2 minutes. I probably have 30 seconds at this point. But I will tell you a few things holding us back. Negative stigma holds us back. Mainstream alcohol sales hold us back. Culture that accepts drug use holds us back. Social media, advertising, all this stuff. You know, we're in a time period where it's cool to do this stuff. It's cool to not do the right thing. And my whole life, I wanted to be that guy that didn't do the right thing, but now I'm telling you, it's very cool. It's very cool to show up, to suit up, and say, look, I'm gonna be myself in front of, I don't know, over 100 people. How many people are in here? This is a miracle, guys. The solution is our recovery community organizations, all right? Number one problem we have as addicts is we don't have same-day service. But our goal is not to, we're not to be hostile to the other agencies. Everyone's trying to help. But what I've noticed with the problem that we have as addicts, no one really, and I don't want to offend anybody, but no one really cares about something until they are touched by it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's only the people that experience this that can help us with it. It's a paradox. We have to have the pain to have the growth. So like I said, we can't eradicate addiction from our communities completely. All we can do is just keep trying our best, keep coming together. So, and another thing I heard the other night at an event we were at, speaking of locking people up, and now I'm all for, like John Shinholzer always says, I'm all for public safety. If you're out in the community and you're doing heroin and you're stealing from people and you're running around, yeah, I would want you to lock me up for 30 days. But when someone has a simple possession charge to put handcuffs on someone, look, the government, the scientists, you're calling it a disease. If you're gonna call it a disease, treat it like a disease. Thanks for letting me share.